A new study from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation shows that Americans are ready to commit to a green economy and ready to sacrifice their money to buy products made in the U.S. Here with more on this, we've got Hillary Doe, who is the Chief Growth Officer for the state of Michigan. Hillary, great to see you, and thanks for joining the program here with us today. So ultimately, what are you seeing in Michigan that could apply even more so nationally when it comes to this mindset around ESG investments and particularly making sure that there is the purchase consciousness that also ruminates on the other side?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. So as you named, Michigan is, a clean energy leader. We're #1 in clean energy investment, and it's really important when we think about our economic growth strategy across the state. And so in part because of that, we did lead a nationwide survey of 1,000 U.S. adults, again, across the country. And what we found was that people, really overwhelmingly want to see additional investment in things like sustainable technologies, clean energy, and electric vehicle infrastructure. And again, overwhelmingly, 71% of those folks really believe that even, sizable investments in those sustainable technologies will ultimately pay off. Folks named that they want to see training and pathways necessary to ensure that those kinds of technologies can also be developed right in their communities.
What types of jobs can we anticipate might change or be altered as we're looking at a green economy and where there are industries that are perhaps most prone to immediately make those changes?
Yeah, well, I would start first by just naming the amount of, economic expansion and innovation we can expect when we look to industry growth here. We've already seen with the CHIPS Act and with IRA some of that federal, opportunity that's caused industry expansion in areas like semiconductors and electric vehicles, and also all the startups. And you were just talking about small business growth that's cropped up around those industries, and we'll continue to see it, both on the design side and R&D that goes into inventing and researching these solutions, but also in manufacturing them. And what we saw in the study was a real commitment from Americans across the U.S. to ensuring that we're both designing and manufacturing these sustainable technologies right here in the U.S. In fact, 87% of folks in the survey named that they would be willing to pay even more for those technologies if they were made right here in the U.S.
It's interesting, and especially as we think about the state of Michigan, a lot of people out there think about Detroit, Motor City, the transition to electric vehicles that have really been a larger ambition for not just some customers out there, but for the industry as well, in its own transition to more environmental sustainability as well. What is the next major sector that you envision could be disrupted by positively or changed fundamentally by some of these environmental investments as well?
Yeah, well, I'm very happy to report I'm coming to you today from Detroit, sitting in what I think is one of the capitals of innovation, because we really are, again, in addition to leading clean energy, really leading the electric vehicle transition. We know that it's critical. Transportation accounts for nearly 30% of our emissions across the U.S., and so electric vehicles are going to be critical to decarbonization strategies. So Michigan has set a really ambitious goal for 100% renewables by 2050. And we're doing what it takes to make sure that businesses can make that transition and that we have the workforce necessary. Michiganders across our state can participate through training programs and the like in both designing and manufacturing those things. So we're absolutely seeing the future mobility space jump into electric vehicles, seeing a lot of innovation in that space, also in automation and automated vehicles, but also well beyond that. We're seeing a lot of semiconductor growth and clean energy growth more broadly. Again, both in R&D with the University of Michigan leading research and development around semiconductors, but also places like Calumet Electronics in the Keweenaw Peninsula that is leading manufacturing, organic substrate manufacturing around semiconductors. So it's very exciting here in Michigan.
Hillary, we only got about 30 seconds left here, but how would a change in the balance of power in Washington, D.C. and elected officials potentially impact the type of energy or environmental sustainability investments that we could see made?
Well, I would say that these overwhelming majorities in this survey should tell us all that Americans know that, we need to lean into these technologies long term, sort of irrespective of who's in power, and that this is the future. It's so rare to see 70, 87% of folks all agreeing on something. And so certainly in Michigan, we're making this commitment long term, irrespective of who's in the White House. And I think Americans are saying that they see economic opportunity here and they want the US to lead here. So I think we should follow their lead.
All right, some really solid readings from the population there in Michigan. Thanks so much, Hillary Doe, who is the Chief Growth Officer for the state of Michigan. Thanks so much, Hillary.
Thank you.